16 दिसंबर का दिन है और 16 दिसंबर 1971 के दिन पाकिस्तान दो हिस्सों में तकसीम हुआ था। इसी हवाले से आप देख रहे हैं बांग्लादेश के सफ़ीर का खसूसी इंटरव्यू। बांग्लादेश के सफ़ीर अशरफ उद दौला खुद पर बीती और बंगालियों पर बीती कहानी सुना रहे हैं। मिलिट्री डिक्टेटर्स और जनरल याह्या खान के दौर में बंगालियों पर जो जुल्म हुआ, मशरकी पाकिस्तानियों पर जो जुल्म हुआ, उसकी दास्तान आप हमीदुर रहमान कमीशन रिपोर्ट में भी पढ़ सकते हैं।
Hello,
Hi,
dear
hello.
Ashraf Ud Doula. You are with us from Dhaka, Bangladesh. Hoping you are fine. Welcome from Lahore. Welcome from your elder city, from your elders country. Once upon a time, you were also a Pakistani. But the self-interested policies of the military dictators and the aggression against a great and brave activist of Pakistan movement, Mr. Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, divided us. But now a long time has passed. Liberal West Pakistanis of that time were with you Bengali brothers and sisters. We still love you today. But I think should not we forget the old sorrows and move forward together.
Thank you, Mr. Pirzada, for inviting me on this Skype interview, and I really thank you for that. Today you called on we are talking on a very significant day, and you mentioned about forgetting the past. But today in this country we are commemorating what is called the Martyrs Intellectuals Day. On this day, in 1971, the occupying Pakistan army, together with the cohorts of this country, had annihilated the whole intellectual class of this country. That's why every year since 1971, we commemorate this day with pain, with lot of loss. It was done deliberately to decimate the intellectual foundation of this country. More than 1,000 intellectuals, university teachers, we call them, they were the North Star, what you call the North Star. They are the top intellectuals of this country. University teachers, engineers, poets, literateurs, uh, doctors, all the best, what you call the crema de creme, of the top, the intellectuals of this country, the brain, the talents, they were assassinated, they were killed mercilessly like dogs, like animals. So, if you see today's newspaper from Bangladesh newspaper, and you will see all those graphic descriptions how the Pakistan army had committed this heinous crime in this country. This is something that you just can't simply, forget. What I really see that even the younger generation, those who were born post 1971, they have taken this cause very, very seriously. So you have to psychologically, emotionally understand the feelings of this country. You see, 50 years on, not a serious attempt has been made ever by Pakistan, the Pakistan establishment, or the people at large to say sorry, to ask for forgiveness. It has not been done. So, I wonder, yes, I was born a Pakistani. I was born a Pakistani and I was a proud Pakistani. I used to feel myself proud. But the systemic, the aggression, the deprivation that has, been happening, since the, creation of Pakistan. But let me go back. the whole Pakistan idea and the Muslim League, which was the vehicle for bringing Pakistan into existence, uh, was born, that Muslim League was born in Bangladesh, in this part of the country, in 1906. Okay. Pakistan Resolution was moved by a Bengali in Lahore, what is called Lahore Resolution in 1940. So, and you see the plebiscite that happened in 1946 that, that brought Pakistan into, and see the votes from this part of the country, how many percentage of the vote, the vote was cast from this part, and how many votes were cast from the the other provinces in today's Pakistan. You just look at it. So these people of this country had really moved the idea of Pakistan. But once Pakistan came into being, this part was systematically deprived from everything, from statecraft, from the services, from the joining army, from the government job, from the industrialization, from economy, and politically we were totally deprived. It was as if the Pakistan found a new colony. Now, 7th December, when the election, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, our father of the nation, he had won a clear majority. If we had in those days the administration, the establishment, some senses, some humanitarian senses, some political senses, they would have handed over power to Sheikh Mujibur Rahman and make him the prime minister. Now, what happened? The whole army establishment, Yahya Khan, they in cohort with Bhutto. Bhutto did not win the election. Why they had to listen to Bhutto? Why they had to listen to Bhutto? So with collaboration with Bhutto, collusion with Bhutto, they simply denied the right to Sheikh Mujib to form the government. And then, it was not the Bengalis who caused the war, who started the war. It was the Pakistan army who, on the 25th March night of 1971, started killing the innocent Bengalis. You talk about Muslims. How could a Muslim, the same brothers, if you call brothers, could kill? 3 million people have been killed, and you call yourself Muslim? How then a Muslim can rape the Muslim women, Muslim girls? Where is your Islam? Where is all those things? So how can you tell us to forget? These are the history that has caused us pain. When every time we think, it caused us so much of pains. It is simply difficult to forget unless and until I, as a freedom fighter, I fought in the War of Liberation. I was a freedom fighter. So I am not speaking, of course, on behalf of the government. I'm not speaking on behalf of the people of Bangladesh, but I can share the sentiment that perhaps a serious attempt by the Pakistan to ask for forgiveness will perhaps go a long way to soothe those pains in our heart.
Very unfortunately, when you saw the oppression with the Bengalis, you became a freedom fighter and you lost your leg. Just as those Indians who built Pakistan, when they saw oppression there before 1947.
Okay.
So my question is, please explain how deadly is the pain of migration?
Well, you see, what happened before 1947, the division of India and or the what you call the separation of the India into two countries, Pakistan and India, that was culmination of a political decision that took years. It was felt, of course, there were riots, there were communal riots, there were communal violence, that what happened in Punjab and what happened in Bengal. There was huge migration, and there are a lot of histories about that. But what happened, the separation or the two countries separation of India, division of India, was a culmination of many decades of political movement. So it was found at that context, at that time. We are talking about contextually that what existed before 1947, that Muslims and Muslims and the Hindus could not live together, so they needed their they needed their separate countries. Although I must say, add Hassan, that there has been lot of controversies about that. I would say that many Bengalis, although they had voted for Pakistan, but still there are doubts that whether these two wings, that East Pakistan and West Pakistan, will eventually can live together as one country, given the different culture. It was only the only the unifying factor was the religion, Islam. But if you take the Islam out, religion out, from every aspect, we are different. Now, you and I are talking, we are having difficulties in establishing our communication.
Even now, yes, even now we are talking and we are using the language of British.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So we had so much of similarities, in language, in our culture, in our literature, in our songs, in our food. There are so many. Only unifying factor was the religion. But once the country was established, it was realized, it was found that it will be a very, very difficult marriage. You see, when Jinnah, and let me tell you, the Bengalis sacrifice for great sacrifice and the great fight to bring Pakistan into reality. It was just forgotten by Jinnah and he was so insensitive, he was so arrogant, so he's full of hubris. When he came to Pakistan, when he came to Dhaka in 1948, he said that Urdu will be the national language of the country. What the hell? We are the majority, 56% of Pakistanis were Bengalis. And how can you impose the language of minority over the majority? So at the very formative stage of Pakistan as a nation, as a nationhood, was breached. So there was a huge clash of identity between the people in West Pakistan and people in East Pakistan. You see, so over the years, so all this economic deprivation, political deprivation, industrial deprivation, developmental deprivation had culminated into that movement, that Bengalis must establish their political right, their legitimate political right in the nationhood or in the state of Pakistan. So that's why the people in hordes in Bangladesh, in East Pakistan, they voted for Sheikh Mujibur Rahman because Sheikh Mujib, as we call him Bangabandhu, was identified, was seen as the person who will bring into existence, bring into effect the aspiration of the Bengalis, long aspiration of the Bengalis. And that's why he had swept the election in 1970, but he was denied the legitimate right to form the government. And not only that in order to keep the Bengalis under the foot of the Pakistan army, they had started this killing. This is one of the worst genocide in the world.
Yes, and now world is also seeing that Bangladesh is a developing country. And what is the secret of the development of Bangladesh? Is
Alhamdulillah.
liberalism or
Alhamdulillah.
secularism a big reason?
Well, first of all, let me tell you the the very construct of a Bengali, the very psyche of a Bengali. You know, we are the people who have learned to live with disasters, and whether it is man-made or it's natural, we have overcome them. So this is a very much a psyche, a inner strength, a resilience of a Bengali, So, Alhamdulillah, after, that Bangladesh came into being, it was a war-ravaged country, completely destroyed. I don't know when you were born, how old are you? I don't know if these narratives, are read in Pakistan, if these are described in Pakistan, that how this country was totally destroyed economically during that 9 months of war. Economically, infrastructurally, when we started as a nation, it's not zero. We started from the minus. There was nothing. So we had to build everything from the scratch. Over the years, and we had also, gone through substantial, huge political problems. Bangabandhu was killed. Then Ziaur Rahman was killed. So we also had the share of our own pains and of our own doings. Let's put it into our own doings. The Pakistanis did not kill Bangabandhu. It's the Bengalis. When we say that these are the planted Pakistanis who were given the responsibility to annihilate Bangabandhu, and Bangabandhu was killed. Similarly, Ziaur Rahman was killed. But after that, I think we found some direction, and today I'm happy to tell you that Bangladesh has overcome all these past, what you call, the criticism, and we have overcome all the difficulties, and today we can raise our head with respect in the international community, economically, infrastructurally, politically. I think, and when you call about the Bengalis' character, if you look at it geographically, we are an island of Muslim majority nation in this part. If you look at it around us, we are a Muslim majority island, and that our geopolitical, location has shaped our values, our perception of life. So we are primarily, basically, the Bengalis are liberal minded. We are primarily secular minded. We let other people to have their own religion. We have our own religion, and there is no clash. Of course, there have been, some mullahs, they try to create the problem, but basically, in large, Bengalis are very liberal minded. They are secular minded, and also the Bengalis, they're fighter. They fight every aspect. You see, in this, in this COVID situation, just look at it in the whole world, where the world economy has been battered, has taken a beating. Bangladesh economy is prospering. We are making 3 to 4%, and it is by the World Bank. The World Bank statistic is that our growth rate is 3 to 4% in spite of the this COVID situation.
Ordinary Muslims in Bangladesh hate or love with Pakistan?
Well, I will not say, I don't want to, sort of divide it Muslim or non-Muslims. Let's put it Bangladeshis.
Bangladeshis.
I am also Muslim. So,
Yes.
Our 80%, 85% people, 88% people are Muslims. So, if you are talking about minority, that's a very small, small number. So it's a Muslim majority country. So you cannot sort of divide Muslims and non-Muslims. I would say as Bangladeshis, I don't know I don't know whether I should put the word hate. I don't know. It's a very strong, but there is a deep feelings among the Bangladeshis. When you have deep feelings, that creates kind of a sentiment, and that sentiment, hate, indifference, anger, uh, anger. Yes, these are the manifestation of a deep feelings. So, because what I explained before, that there has not been a serious attempt to ask for forgiveness from the Bangladeshis, let alone there are other issues, asset division issues. There are stranded Pakistanis in Bangladesh, what we call those Biharis. They have they have claimed themselves, Pakistanis, and they have given their options to move to Pakistan, and they're languishing in the refugee camps, what you call Bihari camps, and things like that. So these issues have not been resolved. So unless these are the very fundamental issues, that really bedevils or has bedeviled the relationship between our two countries, and which has really put a kind of obstruction in the development of further prospering of relationship between our two countries.
Who is your good neighbor, Hindustan or Pakistan?
Well, look at it. You see, Pakistan is not our neighbor anymore. Let's put it. Pakistan is a distant neighbor. Pakistan is a distant neighbor. Pakistan is not a close neighbor. Yes, and we had SARC, we had certain mechanism, the SARC, which has become more dysfunctional these days. So, Pakistan does not fit into our perspective anymore. We do not have very strong relationship. I'm being very, 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 very candid about it. With India, well, we have some mixed sort of sentiment about India. Number one, that India during the War of Liberation, India hosted 10 million people, refugees in India. They have fed us, they have helped us, they have given us shelter. Number one, that's a great sacrifice that India did. 10 million people they had hosted for 9 months. They have fed them, they have sheltered them. Can you hear me?
Yes, I am hearing you. Please carry on. And finally, would you like to give a message people?
Well, my message to the Pakistani people are that, that, especially the younger generation, that please try to learn the true history of Pakistan, and how the Pakistan was broken. Who did it? Why did it happen? Was it the fault of the Bengalis, or was it the fault of the Pakistan establishment?